Good to see you. How's your NOSH Live going?
It's going great, man. First of all, I love LA, so it's always good to be in town.
Good place to have a conference for sure.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the speakers have been great. I feel like I've picked up really cool nuggets from everyone who's presented, and that's kind of what you come to these for. Ultimately, is like learn something new.
Yeah. Now we've covered A Dozen Cousins a couple times on NOSH. We've had a story about your launch earlier this year. You're also featured as part of our Elevator Talk series, which profiles up-and-coming, emerging, innovative new brands. But not everyone still knows what you're all about.
Yep.
So can you give us a little bit of information about what A Dozen Cousins is and where the idea came from?
Yeah, I'm happy to share a bit. So I've been in the food industry for a while. So I've actually been in the industry for about 6 years. Started my career at General Mills, spent some time at Annie's. And during that time, I kind of fell in love with the natural product space. But there wasn't a brand that really felt like home to me. I'm from Brooklyn originally, grew up in a predominantly Black and Latino community. And the conversations we would have about food at home were very different than the ones that I was having at work. We were focused on the recipes, did they use enough seasoning, does it taste good? And so that's really how it started, with the objective of wanting to create a brand that people in my community and in my family could kind of embrace and fall in love with. The first product that we landed on was a line of ready-to-eat beans, and so they're fully cooked and fully seasoned, all with regional recipes. So we have a Cuban black bean, which I think you guys are seeing on the product cam. We have a Trinidadian chickpea curry, and then a Mexican cowboy bean. And the beans are just a great product. They kind of blend culture, taste, and health, and we're really excited about the launch.
Very cool. I met up with you during our Instagram live session at the Sampling Experience and Expo as part of NOSH Live Day 1. What was your experience like showcasing your product there?
It was great, man. The reality is someone mentioned this during one of the talks yesterday, but just the knowledge level of the people at the conference and kind of their appreciation, is elevated. And so we're able to have really great conversations about the formulation, the branding, the strategy. It really felt like a kind of a higher level than, sometimes you're just sampling. And it's great to touch base with consumers, but they maybe don't have the same background on the food business. And so it was fun and a kind of a different conversation to have.
An opportunity to meet some retailers and distributors as well. Currently, where is the product sold, and what are you looking for in terms of your footprint for 2019?
Yeah, so we actually start shipping in January, and the focus is really in the natural channel on the West Coast. So we'll be in about 300 stores throughout California and the Pacific Northwest, and then available online at Amazon, and so also through our own website. And so, year one with any new product is kind of an experiment. You have a bunch of hypotheses. Yep. Is the brand working? Do we pick the right flavors? Is the price right? Are we in the right category? And so, the hope during year one is to kind of, check the box, answer those questions, and then we can begin expanding.
So, a lot of what you're selling is basically, cultural, ethnic food that a lot of people who are, familiar with these products will eat. But how do you get people to try your products that aren't necessarily familiar with, this type of beans or these types of beans? And, what's the education strategy?
Yeah, so I'll say a few things. First and foremost, I'm of the belief that today, everybody wants to buy niche products, right? And so, we, even my wife and I, we joke around, if we're going to a Chinese food restaurant, we want to see Chinese people in the restaurant, right?
Sure.
It's a sign of authenticity. And so a lot of what we do from the branding, candidly, is we're not trying to dumb it down or simplify it. We used full seasoning. We kind of leaned into the authentic flavors and formulations with the hope that if we can win over the people whose grandmother cooked this food in their kitchen, other people will follow. So that's the first thing that I would say. Second thing, though, is that the packaging is pretty straightforward. We did put a lot of emphasis in terms of highlighting the bean imagery, calling out the key ingredients. My hope is that even someone who's never had, a Trinidadian curry should be able to look at that package and kind of absorb what we're all about.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case.
It's interesting, the product attributes, the call-outs on your package, you're not shy about saying this is curry chickpeas with cilantro and turmeric. You're really showcasing the flavor there. At the top of the package, you also have non-GMO and plant protein. How important is this call out to what you're selling? Or is it just, sort of table stakes for brands like this?
It's super important for us. At the end of the day, I do think it's becoming table stakes. I think we'll end up in a spot 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when, the overwhelming majority of people are seeking those claims. For us, beans are an inherently healthy food, and so we didn't want to overdo it in terms of, we're not adding protein powder or, any type of crazy things. The claims that we have here are just the natural attributes of well-grown beans,
Right.
And so it's important to us that we put that forward.
Now, when it comes to the sampling opportunities, you're on Amazon right now, so you can't necessarily sample online. But what is the sampling strategy for something like this? Is it trying to get one customer at a time at one retailer, or are you going to events? I mean, how are you really attracting folks to the brand, or what's your plans to do that?
Yeah, first and foremost, we're really active socially and through digital marketing. And, the reality situation is that's been our priority. If you guys, check out our Instagram, A Dozen Cousins HQ.
Nice.
We've been active actually for almost a year now. And so
I love that there's a Dozen Cousins handle that's not yours.
Yeah, and whoever you are out there, A Dozen Cousins Instagram, please reach out to us. You know who you are. We want that handle eventually, but now we're with HQ. But yeah, we've actually prioritized from the very beginning the feeling that, again, it's 2018. Like you can reach people and tell a story without physically being next to them, right?
Sure.
And so that's our number one priority is like, tell the story on Instagram, reach out to people who are likely to be interested in the product, have it available digitally for them to buy, and we'll do some in-store sampling, but it's actually the most expensive way to get someone to try a food product. I think that we have some other levers that are just more efficient and that we think we can use to tell the story.
That's really interesting. So, Instagram is your, I guess, route to sampling, more so than actually being in-store, and it's a more cost-effective way of doing it, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We're very early in the process, right?
Yep.
Like that's one of our hypotheses. So, like, first half of next year, we have a really detailed plan of like who we want to reach out to, how we want to get them product, the conversations that we hope that will start. And we've seen other brands be successful that way. It's just a much more authentic way to spread the brand story than just couponing or kind of forcing it into someone's hand as they're going to buy something else.
Yep.
And so we think we can do it that way, and we'll be ready to pivot if we need new levers.
It's a pretty catchy name. We didn't talk about where the name came from. What is A Dozen Cousins? What does that mean?
Thank you for asking me that. So A Dozen Cousins, and actually they're on the back of the package. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's named after my daughter and her 11 cousins.
Okay.
So they're my nieces and nephews, but they're real people. They're all on the package. I've gotten a lot of Uncle Brownie points by putting them there, so I'm taking those. But we wanted something that would be memorable, that would be sticky, but that had some real grounding in our family.
Yeah. You mentioned your family, you mentioned your daughter. Entrepreneurship is a really tough thing to do. It's even tougher when you're trying to raise a family.
Right.
What's that been like for you? How are you trying to find balance, between family and your business?
First and foremost, shout out to my wife. She's been holding down the home front.
Always, right?
That's universal. But she's been a pillar for the last year in terms of making this all work. So I want to start there. But we actually have my daughter. And then I quit my job about 3 months later. And so I've been learning fatherhood and entrepreneurship in tandem. And so it actually has been a really cool pairing just because entrepreneurship, though daunting, it gives you a lot of flexibility. And so I've kind of got a chance to learn, hey, if my daughter's up one night, we might kick off our first meeting at 11 o'clock the next day, right? And so, we've made it work. But I love food and I love the process. And so it actually has been a really enjoyable experience and not really that stressful.
Does your daughter like the product?
She actually has tried the black beans. I'm trying to ease her into them. She's still pretty young, so she just turned 13 months.
Oh, wow. Okay, very young.
She's young, but she ate the black beans and she liked them.
Nice.
We've been giving her, fully seasoned food. We're trying to, we're not easing her in. We're jumping in. So maybe we'll do the chickpeas next. They're a little spicy, but I think she can.
Hey, there are kids all over the world that eat spicy foods.
Exactly.
There's no reason that kids in America can't eat spicy food.
I agree 100%.
Ibrahim, this has been fantastic. Thank you
very
so
much
much
for
for
having me.
being with us on the
appreciate it,
live stream
man. Thank you.
studio. Good luck with everything going forward. Please stay in touch and send some product to the office. We love this.
We'll do it, man. Thank you.
Outstanding.